Howdy, my name is Mackenzie Franklin from SideGame in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Today we're going to be taking a look at my top 10 favorite short solo board games. Now these are going to be anywhere between 15 and 30 minutes, and they are going to be games that I pull out when I have a little bit of time, but I want to enjoy an awesome solo experience. Now, as I'm learning all these new games, I find myself playing a lot of solo games just to remember the rules, and I found myself really enjoying them. So that's where this list comes from, and they're games that I really enjoy, and I hope you do too. So without further ado, let's start with my number 10. Number 10 is the newest entry to this list. This is actually one I got a couple weeks ago. This is Orchard, a 9-card solitaire game. In Orchard, you're going to be using these tiny little cards, and you use 9 of them, in order to match these patterns here. So each of the patterns has a specific color, and if you match the color, you're going to get points each time you do. The more you match the same colors, the more those points increase. They go from 1 to 3 to 6 to 10. So you want to be matching them, but that's the restriction. You have to match them exactly. So you're going to be actually overlaying the cards, kind of domino style, and you're going to be trying to match those patterns that way. So really fascinating concept, but my favorite thing in this game are the rotten apple tokens. You're going to be using these rotten apples in order to ignore one of the colors. So when you ignore those colors, you can open up new possibilities, which is really cool because now each card offers a unique challenge and choice, which I think is really fascinating. So I really enjoy Orchard, my number 10 for short solo games. My number 9 comes in a much bigger box. This is going to be It's a Wonderful World Heritage Edition. So in the It's a Wonderful World box, you're going to be playing as a civilization trying to build this giant amount of projects in front of you while increasing the production and efficiency of your society. So you're going to be doing this by playing project cards, and these project cards will have resources they produce, but they only produce during specific phases. Now, really fascinatingly, you can use the cards and commit them to a project, or you can scrap them and get a single resource instead, which might be key so that you can automatically get one of your cards out, because your cards do produce resources even if they were made in that same turn. So it's really cool. You could build a machine in one phase and use it in the next, which is really awesome. You also get bonuses if you make the most of a specific resource, so it's all about timing and efficiency. Really fascinating game. My favorite part of this game is the campaign mode, though. It has 2 little boxes that come in the Heritage Edition that are going to give you little scenarios that you get to use. And these scenarios offer cute little challenges and great ways that are new to play the game. So I really enjoy this system. I love that the campaign mode is going to keep you coming back, keep the game fresh, and it's very quick to play and a lot of fun. So that's my number 9, It's a Wonderful World. My number 8 goes back to a small box. This is going to be Friday. So in Friday, you play as Friday. Your job is to prepare Robinson Crusoe to leave the island and take down 2 pirates. Now you do this by deck building and by increasing his skills as well as weaning off his weak skills. Now my favorite part of this game is the deck building itself. The whole premise is when you complete a challenge, you get that card as a card in your deck that you can use. Really cool. I love that system. You see it in games like Heroes of Tennefer. Really good. However, the twist here is when you lose a challenge, for each hit point you take for losing the challenge, you get to remove that many cards. So really awesome. So you want to be getting rid of those cards in your deck, right? Well, here's the twist. The more cards you get rid of, the smaller your deck becomes. And every time you completely run out of your deck, you reshuffle, but you include one of these terrible cards. And they're like a -4. Get rid of your highest card. It is pretty brutal. So it's really interesting to kind of find that balance of getting rid of stuff, but also improving your own deck. So I really enjoy this one. That is Friday, my number 8. My number 7 is Tiny Epic Galaxies. So in Tiny Epic Galaxies, you play as a space colony, and your job is to take over all of these planets and put them in your own civilization. So really fascinating as you're going to be sailing around the solar system, taking over all these planets. Now this game is dice driven, where you're going to be using dice for actions, and when you include the Beyond the Black expansion, you also have the options to get all of these little cards that you're going to be using to explore space, as well as hire pilots that come with their own special and unique abilities. Now I really enjoy, my favorite part of this game has to be the solo AI. So the way the solo AI works is it's its own card, and the cards come in multiple difficulty levels based on the color, and they act just like a normal player. So it's really fascinating. You roll the dice, and you're allowed to follow those dice, even if the opponent's using them. So I think it's really cool. It retains that feeling of a 2-player game. So I really like Tiny Epic Galaxies. That's my number 7. My number 6 is a roll and write style game where you're going to be playing some pinball. And this is Super Skill Pinball 4Cade. Now in Super Skill Pinball 4Cade, you're going to choose one of these tables that you're going to play against. You shoot up the ball up to the top of the map, and then it'll fall down the different areas, getting a bonus each level you go down until you get to a flipper, and you flip it back up. You're trying to keep yourself up on the board as much as you like. Very pinball feeling. Now in the game, there are 4 different boards that you can pick from. There's a disco, a circus, fantasy, and cyberpunk. But my goodness, the best one in this box, and really the only one I ever play, because I think the rest just aren't as good, is the fantasy map. So the fantasy map allows you to learn spells, and these spells customize you from the very first turn, and they allow you to mitigate dice rolls, they allow you to save yourself, they allow you to do really cool effects. You can turn invisible, you can fight the dragon, you can activate all these really interesting things, and I think they are a blast. So the customization from that is above and beyond the rest of them. Honestly, I don't think I would ever go back to playing the other 3 because they're just not as fun, not as exciting. I find them kind of boring and repetitive as opposed to this robust nature of the fantasy one. So that's my number 6, Super Skill Pinball Forcade, specifically the Dragon map. Holy cow, it's great. All right, going to my number 5, this is Bullet, the deluxe edition. So in Bullet, you play as a heroine, and your job is to take down a boss or compete in a score attack by clearing these bullets from your board and sending them away. So in the boss mode, you're going to be sending them to a giant heroine. It's one of your heroines gone bad, but she is going to have this pattern that you're trying to, satisfy by matching specific colors and shapes, and then you're also trying to clear these bullets to deplete their shields. In the score attack, you're just trying to do the best you can to survive as many waves as you can, where you have this ultimate intense bullet rain coming down on you. So you have 2 cool modes to play this solo mode, and they're both fantastic. Now, my favorite part of this game is actually the characters themselves. You have a lot of customization. Well, I wouldn't say customization, but uniqueness. A lot of asymmetry with the way the different heroines work. Each heroine has its own special board, its own special theme, and they have their own special pattern cards. So the way they work is completely different. So it's really cool to learn a new character as well as learning a new boss. When you fight the bosses, you'll actually flip over one of the character cards and you're fighting against one of the heroines. So they have their own special boss pattern deck that they're going to be using against you. They're very, very, very different, and the puzzle itself is a lot of fun. It really kind of changed the way I thought about puzzle games, and I can't give this one enough praise. This is a lot of fun. That's Bullet, my number 5. My number 4 is a dungeon crawl game. This is Unbroken. Now, I say dungeon crawl, and more thematically, not gameplay-wise. You're going to be literally crawling through this dark, deep, disgusting dungeon. Each round is separated into 2 phases. You got the exploration, where you're going to be going through these little tasks, and then you're going to move on to the fight. So you're going to fight a creature based on the round. So the first round, you fight a weaker one. Last round, you're going to fight the final boss. If you beat that last boss, you win the whole game. So my favorite part of this game is actually the exploration itself. So each round, you're going to be choosing from 2 cards at a time and picking a path you want to take. You can get resources, you can get health back, you can get a lot of choices here, and you can really customize your character. You're going to use those resources to prepare for battles, to just get extra points at the end, or to upgrade your weapons. So I think this is really interesting. You also have the option to scout ahead to see what you might fight, because hey, if you're going to fight a vampire, you may need some wood, and if you don't collect any, that's on you. So I really enjoy that. I love that there's a lot of choice and a lot of different paths that you can pick here. That's Unbroken, my number 4. Fantastic game. My number 3 is another roll and write game. This is Ganshan Clever. So in Ganshan Clever, you're going to be rolling these 6 dice, and you're going to pick one of the dice. However, the higher the number you pick, all the lower numbers from that are going to be removed, and there are no longer going to be options for you to pick in the future. So you have to decide whether you take a high number to use it for its specific ability, or if you're going to take a lower number to get more choices in the future. So really fascinating system here, and it works really well. Now, my favorite part of this game is what you do with the dice. So every time you use a die, you'll use it to complete a little mini game, and those mini games will give you bonuses and bonuses after bonuses after bonuses. It feels so good to check off a bunch of boxes, and that's what you're doing in this game. Now, this game has 3 iterations of it. I've only played the first 2, but they are a blast, and I can't wait to get my hands on the 3rd one. That's Ganshan Clever, my number 3. My number 2 has you fighting in space in Warp's Edge. You play as a star pilot taking out all of these invaders. Now you're going to be doing that by bag building. You're going to create your bag full of these chips, and these chips will allow you to blast the enemies with lasers, as well as dodge them and increase your own ability to be more efficient and activate cool special abilities. So in Warp's Edge, my favorite part of this game are the different variety and the bosses and the fighters. So each time you play, you'll pick a fighter, and they come with their own custom set of chips that you'll be using, so they're special abilities. So you can play one that's a heavy hitter, you can play one that's a little bit more risky, one that's a little bit more agile, one that's just a bulky tank. And then you pair that against the mothership that you'll be fighting against. And these motherships have their own really unique abilities. So I really love this system here. It's my go-to small bag building game. Fantastic. Warp's Edge, my number 2. The last one on this list is my number 1. This is my favorite short solo game, and that is Hostage Negotiator, Crime Wave. This also includes the career expansion as well as just the base game. They're all wonderful systems. And at its core, this game has you playing as a hostage negotiator. Your job is to take down an abductor that's going to be coming after all of these hostages and save as many hostages as you can. So capture the abductor, save the hostages. That's your job before they escape. Now, it's really fascinating because you are going to be playing with a mixture of card play and dice rolling. So your cards will allow you to take actions, and then you'll roll the dice to resolve the effects. Now, each of the dice are really interesting. You have dice with 2 successes on them, and then you have a single kind of pseudo-success. What they mean is you can discard 2 other cards from your hand to get a success. So you have a 50-50 each time you roll a die to get a success, but you have to make sure that you're holding some back. So you can kind of pick and choose your risks on whether you're willing to commit to a specific action. But each card also has a negative result if you fail that specific test. So it's really scary to go in unprepared. So there's a lot of strategy to this game, a lot of luck as well, but I think that's what makes for an exciting, intense experience. This game really does tell a story. And my favorite part about this game are the abductors themselves. They've released a lot of packs that really have unique and thoughtful abductors in them, from a hacker to a social media star to a family that's abducting their children and bringing them into the swamp behind their backyard, or a circle of cultists that are the actual hostages and the abductors. So you have to capture them to make sure you're saving them from themselves. They're not sure what the situation they're in is. It's really fascinating, really thoughtful, really cool mechanics. They did a great job with this game. Now, I also really enjoy the career expansion for the game, where you're going to be going from mission to mission to mission in the life of a hostage negotiator and the police force. Fantastic expansion and a wonderful way to string the events and play multiple games with this in a row. So that is my number 1, Hostage Negotiator. So what did you think? Those are my top 10 short solo games. I really hope you enjoyed this list. And I want to know, what are your favorite short solo games? Did you agree with any of my choices? Thanks so much for watching. I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel, and if you like what you saw, please come back for more. Thanks so much for watching. Side Game Strong.